That's how this tunnel looked. There was blue sky at the end and this really bright light that I couldn't look directly at. And as I'm staring at this tunnel, it was like Star Trek in a tractor beam. It felt magnetic, and it was drawing me up into this tunnel. And I felt myself go through the building and out into, I want to say the atmosphere or the air, but I'm still in this tunnel of light. And the further I went, the faster it went, until I was zooming along. Just everything is flashing by really quick. And as I look back down into my room, I can still see my body back there, but it's real tiny, far away. Fairly quick, not instantaneous, but fairly quick. Someone put the brakes on, and I came to a stop. And I'm just floating in space in this. Now the tunnel has gotten huge. It's no longer just a little small tunnel. And I'm just floating there. And I can see my body. I don't remember being clothed. But if I look at my hands, I can see them. And in an instant, bang, there's three beings there. And they have this gowns like you see a monk wear, with the long sleeves that hang down and the hood that comes up. They're each looking downward, and as they lift their heads up, they looked identical, but they only had vague features. Best described, if you've ever seen the special effects they do in Hollywood, where they take the sheet of vinyl and they stretch it against their faces, and you only see the outlines of their eyes and their nose and their mouth. And each one was identical. And no hands sticking out of the robes and no feet. And I thought, well, this is cool. Okay, I wonder who these people are. And I'm just floating along and taking it all in. When one of them went to speak, it was all three of them spoke in unison. And they were in harmony. And it had a slight echo effect to it. As I started to say something to them, they spoke first, and they said, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm dead. Oh, that's what I was telling them. I'm dead. I'm finally dead. You know, oh, thank goodness. I don't have any pain. In fact, I feel good. This is all right. This is going to be fun. And in unison, they said, you're not dead, Don. Just that. And I looked around and see where that came from. And I realized it's them. I said, did you say that? And he said, again, in unison, you're not dead, Don. Just as serious as can be. And I said, look, I don't know who you are, but I'm in this tunnel talking to you, and my body's down there. I said, now, that's dead. And they laughed in unison, and you're not dead, Don. Okay, this. I said, I don't know who you are, but you don't know shit. You know, you don't know anything. What are you doing here? You don't mean I'm not dead. I am dead. My body's down there. I'm up here. And they laughed, and they said, you're not dead, Don, and you're not gonna die. And I said, oh, okay. Look, I don't know who you guys are, but y'all don't know shit. You don't know anything. I'm dead, man. I'm in this tunnel with you. I said, now, call your boss. I said, get your boss up here, because you don't know anything. And again, they laughed, and the more they would laugh, the angrier I would get, and the angrier I would get, the more they would laugh. So finally, it seemed like, this went on for 5 or 10 minutes. And I said, I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you keep telling me that I have to go back, but I'm not going. Don't tell me I'm not dead. I am dead, and you don't know what you're talking about. And so I said, look, get your boss. I don't know who you are, but get your boss. Get someone here who knows what's going on. And they said, Don, you have to go back. I said, no, not going back. That's not going to happen. I said, and then I got angry. And I said, that body hurts. And I'm not going back in that body, and you can't make me. I said, no, I was created with free will, and I'm exercising it right now. I said, I'm not going back in that body, and there's no way you can make me. And they was persistent. You have to go back. I said, no, I don't. I don't have to do anything. I said, you want me to go back in that body? You bring Christ here, and you have Christ tell me to go back in that body. Because that's the only way I'm going back in that body. And bang, in an instant, there was Christ. And he had on a gold robe, similar to theirs, with a gold sash, and the hood back. And he looked just like the pictures in the Bible. And whether that's the way I expected him to look is why he looked that way, I don't know, but that's how he looked to me. And as soon as that vision popped in, that energy hit me. And it was like a wall. It was so overwhelming. And overwhelmed, just pure love radiating, almost like I couldn't breathe. It was so overwhelming.
All of a sudden, I landed in a place, and it was a solid place. It had indirect lighting. There were tables there, and there were like beds and stuff. It was very clinical, institutional almost, and there were beings there. There were these 3 robed guys, and they were overjoyed to see me. They were kidding around and they were bouncing around, and I had known them forever. And there was another guy, and he was in charge, kind of. And he was this tall, wispy guy. And when he came near me, the love from this being was so amazing, I felt like I was going to burst into tears at any moment. It was, your chest was just going to explode with love. And the 3 guys kept asking me questions. They kept saying, how was it? What can you tell us? What did you learn? And they were giggling and stuff, and one of them turned to the others, because I was very confused. And one of them turned and laughed and said, "He doesn't remember us." And they giggled some more, and it was quite entertaining. It was like I was home with my best friends, and they were having a good laugh at my expense. And so I was there for a while, and it wasn't very organized. There wasn't anything going on. I think it was just a quick show and tell for me to see what was really out there, and then I was to go back. And they told, at one point I asked them, go through a review of my life, and that was nobody cared. I told a few stories, and they didn't really care. It was like, this is a big joke. This life is a big joke.
All of my experiences rushed up too, and all of the pain that I'd caused everyone in my entire life came with it. And God said to me, "I know everything about you, and there is nothing hidden." And God said to me, "I know everything about you, and there is nothing hidden." The voice was saying to me, "I know you. I have always known you. You are my creature. I made you. I make you. I love you as you are."